Hey,
Whoa.
hey.
I was vibing to that Russian music, dude. They got some good beats, dude.
Yeah, man. They were talking about how they take Gucci Mane beats and put them to like old, flutes and like stringed instruments and stuff. Um, but yeah.
That's
Hey,
sick.
man.
Hey, what's up, dude? Welcome to another live stream, dude. We got a new show. Nothing ever profits, huh? Looks good.
Yeah, it's looking good. Only thing I gotta change, I was telling you earlier, this red background is making my face red.
Dude,
So
no, dude. It's proper, dude. You look like the Wojak that we all feel like right now. You know, the one his face is melting off. He's all red, losing all
yeah,
his
the
money.
pink guy. Yeah, speaking of which, since we're here, I had a little surprise for you before the show. Um, People kept saying, it's been a couple weeks since we've been streaming, and people kept saying, Drac, can I see the cloud? Can I see the cloud? Can I see the Bitcoin cloud chart? And I held on to it just for this moment. Look at that.
This is what happens when we don't stream, dude. This is exactly what happens when we don't stream. I had a feeling that we were in the cloud, and I would have sold all my Bitcoin if I had known we had touched it, but I didn't. So now here I am sitting on the other side of the cloud, hoping we just hit it again.
Unfortunately, the prophecy was foretold many years ago. It just did a direct edge to edge as soon as it closed in the cloud, as predicted. Like I said, Ichi on the weekly, on like a really high time frame, is pretty powerful. I'm sorry to report that once we entered the cloud, we blasted to the other side.
Yeah, if you're in the struggle chamber that we call the rope house, the TG that we got, you would know. I mentioned this in there. I think that we were touching the cloud. I think actually, Drac, I think you might have misled me a little bit. I think I added you and I said, Drac, are we in the cloud? And you said, well, we got to close in it first. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, there's still some hope. Next thing you know, it's like a blink of the eye, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, now
Almost to us 3,000 years ago. That's right.
the good news is that it's happened, right?
Mhm.
We're no longer fretting about entering the cloud. We entered it. We went to the other side. Now we can start thinking about how do we get back into the cloud and get out of it on, going back bullish, right? So that's the good news. The good news is you no longer have to think about it. It's done. It's happened. Now we gotta reassess where we are and what's happening.
Yeah, we gotta take a. It's like the bomb went off, right? Now we got. It's like Call of Duty, the screen's all shaking and like blurry and shit. We gotta like assess the damage. What do we do
Yeah.
now, dude? Looking
Yeah.
back at July, well, I guess it's not really July. That's more like August. I mean, in 2024. Oh my god, dude! I'm fucking desperate. I'm trying to see if there's any other times where we dipped in the cloud, then immediately rebounded out of it. But that'd
We
be
we messed around with it. We wicked in it like 3 times.
Mhm.
Um, what I really hate is these fun little meme lines. If I had taken my own advice, I would have shorted at about 108,000 for Bitcoin, but I didn't. I was coping. I was hoping, right? I was doing all that shit. Jay says all my homies hate the cloud. I agree. Fuck this cloud. I'm kind of once I close this chart today, I don't think I'm going to look at it for like a few months.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you gonna take one position or is just sick of looking at it, dude?
I'm just, I'm in terms of my Bitcoin, I'm basically just like stuck like anybody else right now. Like somebody was asking the other day, like should I just sell it all and move to, hype or whatever? And it was like, when you get to this level, it's like I'm not going to sell my Ethereum. I'm not going to sell my Bitcoin.
Mhm.
Hopefully it doesn't mean I have to wait 2 years again. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I'm at on that. I mean, I guess you could try to catch a knife and, like, jungle vine to another asset and maybe you get lucky, but you got to think also like the losses that you've already incurred. You're going to need like a moonshot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna need the help of the Goyim or something, dude. You're gonna need some kind of insane pump fund token. But
For
I do
sure.
want to point out, dude, like you were saying, what happened is we let our emotions and our hopes take control of our reasoning here because the line's right, dude. I remember, dude, when we violated that white trend line.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I mean, but we were coming up with reasons. But this could happen. Oh, but
Yeah.
Sailor's still buying. Sailor's gonna buy no matter what. I'm tired of hearing people talk about Sailor. Sailor's, as we learned in the Epstein files, horrifically autistic to the point where even the pedophiles don't want to hang out with him, dude. So he's gonna be just fixated on doing this until he dies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I mean, it's like I don't know how I didn't take my own advice because I mean, we call them meme lines because most of the time they mean nothing. But I'd say I think I first drew these. It says here March, April. I think I had the initial line, so almost a year ago, and it held, till like October. So I can only be mad at myself that I did not even attempt to follow my own TA.
Yeah, well, we'll do something a little bit different on this show, dude. Next time, we're gonna start generating positions off these charts, and we're gonna post them publicly. And then, that adds a little extra juice. Maybe we'll get us a couple extra followers too. You know what I mean? Tap that BTC community.
Yeah, yeah, and also, I was just thinking about it. I forgot that I think we have a new we have like a link for the Rope House Telegram, but we have to I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know what it is right now. So we got some things we still got to figure out. We have a new YouTube, but YouTube places you on like a 24-hour hold or something. So we got to do that. We got to wait for that. We'll have a new X, but for today we were like, we'll just do it from our accounts. And we got a little experimental. There was a way to push the stream to Rope House. It looks like it's on right now. I don't know how that's working out, but it's apparently a thing. So I think if people feel like it worked okay, yeah. I mean, if people feel like it worked all right, maybe we'll keep doing that. But as usual, X is kind of the place to be for all this.
Yeah. Hey, Jay, if Corval called, would you answer? That's gonna be that's the thesis of this show. If Corval comes calling, will you answer?
Yeah.
Ethereum's got some big stuff going on. What about the Ethereum is down bad now too, isn't it? Down to 2,000. Yeah. Whew.
Yeah. Now there was like a pretty easy thing. I've said it a bunch of times on the other show. It was always, if Ethereum goes under $2,000, you just buy it and it's easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not really. I don't know if I'm feeling like that right now, but like I said, maybe I'll once again not take my own advice, but not really feeling like buying anything right now.
Yeah, well, it feels like no one's got enough cash to buy anything, and you're seeing it in the charts. Basically, everyone's just selling only.
Yeah.
Lots of instability in the markets. If you've seen any of my other videos, like unpriced risk, where I talk about it a little bit about, there's a lot of uncertainty with, especially with the. I don't think I even talked about this in that one, but with the new Fed chair pick, textbook uncertainty because this guy was typically a hawk, but in that he wanted to raise interest rates consistently, always, even right after the great financial crisis, 2008. But Trump, the guy who appoints this guy, has been begging Powell, threatening him, shaking him by the ears, telling him he needs to lower rates. So he appoints this guy that's a hawk. Textbook uncertainty because no one knows what the fuck that means, dude. Like, why would he pick the most hawkish guy if he's saying the most dovish things? No one knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Lots of other problems compounding as well, but we like to fixate on the Fed and the CME.
I mean, that was kind of like another rug pull. Was we were all kind of banking on it was going to be terrible for the dollar, but good for assets, right? We were all banking on they're going to put this yes man in. He's going to like overnight make rates like 0.5% or something crazy. And honestly, I think you could honestly attribute a lot of what's happening in the market right now to that announcement. I mean, I think people are just like not as bullish in terms of like, oh, we just got to make it to like May or June and whatever. So yeah, I mean, Ethereum's looking rough. Really, any chart doesn't really look great right now.
Yeah. And we got some thoughts on Vitalik saying L2s are dead. I think we got that post up here now. Do you think that's contributed at all to this? I don't really think so. I think it's been dipping hard for a while.
Yeah, I literally had this pulled up. Now, that's something we got to talk about. As I was often attacked for saying, watch the back pages of the news of the newspaper. You know, it finally came to fruition, right? They played this hand like a supervillain. I mean, it was just like, they, so meticulous in the way that it would be like, at this conference, there's just a sentence or two, and then there's like a line in a tweet, and then they like all of this has been going on for almost a year where they've been, slowly hinting at, they want to focus on Ethereum L1 performance. They think they can get Ethereum to perform with, obviously this will take years, but they think it's possible to eventually get Ethereum to be, very high TPS, low gas, all that stuff. And as we had discussed on GM Sonic, it was kind of like if you're an L1 or an all L1, you need to like start, you need to start thinking about what you're going to do. Because when you get to a point where Ethereum has the same TPS and gas as, say Solana, I don't think Solana is going anywhere, of course, but it's going to be trouble for EVM chains, that's for sure. And that's exactly what he, goes into. It's a really long post. I'm going to try to find, there's one. Okay, here we go. Basically, this is kind of like the headline going around is that he says, we should stop thinking about L2s as being branded shards of Ethereum, and they need to begin working on what their value add is besides being an L2, basically. If you were going to take anything from this article, which I'm sure scared the shit out of a lot of these sort of ghost L2s that don't really have a lot going on. We talked about Base in the chat, how I think Base has been kind of ahead of this. They've been kind of like making up fancy little taglines for, their products and like what they're doing. But on top of that, they actually did like some pretty serious, meaningful upgrades over the summer. I don't know if you used Base lately, but I mean, you would honestly probably like think you weren't using an L2. It's very fast, snappy. I foresee like Base will probably have some kind of pivot that they can use to their advantage to say, well, we have Ethereum security, but really our chain is this, and this. So
yeah, I think with those like heavy Coinbase integrations, really strong ties to the American market, really strong ties to regulatory. I mean, it's not Vitalik in Congress getting poked in the chest by JP Morgan saying you're a fucking asshole. It's Brian Armstrong. Brian Armstrong's the guy out there. So I think you're right. It's going to be less of like a Ethereum branded thing and more of like a kind of how we've always said crypto is constantly moving in this direction. The blockchain components of all this stuff is going to be completely under the surface. No one's going to know about it. You're going to be using Base apps because it's like in the Base fucking like it's easy to get there from Coinbase, basically. Not like I'm choosing this because I'm making some kind of bet on the underlying blockchain.
Yeah. No,
I've got an example here actually of some of the stuff. I think they're kind of moving in this direction here. For one of the examples here, I got Virtuals on Base is doing this kind of interesting program here. Tokenization without risk 60 days. They've got this this thing running here. It's a system to it's almost like Pump Fun, but for like actually building a project. And that what you do is you launch a token, right, in this program through Virtuals. And it's got this framework here, right? This is kind of what they're saying they're trying to do. Founder sovereignty, market testing, reversibility by design, credibility, preservation, aligned risk and reward. So basically it allows a builder to come up with an idea, test it in the market, but without, if it doesn't work out, you don't run the risk of people being like, oh, they rugged, because how the tokenomics of this whole situation works is kind of interesting. I compared to Pump Fun because basically you create a token, right? You get trading tax on it. There's this thing called automated capital formation, and there's a growth allocation. But basically, all I'm gonna summarize it as briefly as possible here. Basically, you launch a project, you get a token, it trades on virtuals. Once it hits a certain amount of volume, it gets kicked to Uniswap. But the dev's portion of the taxes that's accumulated does not unlock until the 60 days has passed. And at the 60-day mark, the dev has to say, I'm committing to this project, or I can't, like it's not getting the traction I need or whatever. And if that happens, everyone basically gets fucking refunded out of like this fund that was accumulated from taxes. The dev's fund gets like sent to them basically. If the dev says, I'm going to go forward with it, it unlocks to them and they get all the fees from the trading. I think it's a pretty interesting idea. It allows people to test out their products a little bit more. What do you think about this, Drac? Is this kind of appealing to you? I think it's a pretty smart way to get some more action on base.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're seeing these kind of ideas more and more. I mean, as a lot of people know, like Flying Tulip has this resale where, people basically get their money back. They can either get their money back or get their tokens if it's, higher price or whatever. But I think that we're seeing more of that, like in a kind of post like pump fund craze, where so many people have been rugged or, whatever by tokens. So, I mean, I think it's a great idea, really. It's like saying, hey, like you can invest, it's probably not 100% risk free, but still a lot less risk than, you're just buying a token and hoping it's maybe going to work out. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. They're always doing cool stuff over there at Virtuals. But yeah, I mean, like, for instance, I mean, I would be more willing to probably invest in a project knowing that, okay, the dev just wants to fuck off. I get my money back. If the project's going well and he wants to keep going, then, the token's probably going to hopefully go up even more,
Yeah, and I kind of want to connect this idea to the Flying Tulip race, which also has that kind of redemption mechanism. So there's like a floor to the price. I think it's a further step in terms of like the maturing of this space. And I'm kind of happy about it because instead of just adopting and TradFi infrastructures for fundraising directly, we're doing it in a much more crypto native way, using a lot of smart contracts to ensure this kind of pseudo investor protections are in place. So it's much less likely that you're going to get rugged. Because in the future, once this stuff becomes more disseminated, it's going to be like, why would I ever just buy just some guy throwing a wallet on like an address on X? I want these protections.
Going back to metals and the stock market and everything else, we've just discussed this many times that right now there's, I would say the biggest conflict for people entering the crypto market right now is with the volatility that the stock market and metals and all this stuff have had. What is the upside to entering the crypto market right now? Things aren't 100xing, things aren't even 10xing. So if I'm looking to get some like big, 20-30% move or 40-50% move, even like in a relatively short amount of time, am I going to, put my money in the gray market that I can, I have about 100 different ways I can lose my money, or am I just going to put it in my fucking Robinhood account or whatever and, go from there? So it's a real like crisis at the moment, I think, that, I mean, there's just not a reason for people, all of us are already here and we're stuck here. And once you get here, it's hard to leave. And I think that's true for most of us. But if we're talking about like, oh, we were going to have a bull run like 2021 or whatever, there's just no reason for people to enter this market.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just not.
Yeah. I mean, going back to stocks real quick too, there's another additional kind of like wrinkle here is that stocks are also kind of getting hammered really hard today, insanely. Other than I think Fallout Zone mentioned oil stocks are doing good. Not any of the stocks I bought, but it's a tough time out there in general. So I think it's the strength of crypto in my mind has always been this kind of flexibility because it's kind of like a Wild West. So yeah, you can get like held up, but like we could also adapt fairly quickly. So I'm liking these new raise models developing because it kind of does make it a little bit more appealing, a little bit more palatable for someone, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like anyone that can develop something right now that would, make somebody a little more comfortable to, open up the coin purse.
Hmm.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, I've also got what else we got going on today, dude? We got well, we could talk a little bit about this, dude. This is something that I was trading uh the exact opposite of what we're talking about. My darker impulses are still strong in me. Yeah. Retail was just never there to repeat last cycle and everyone was flush with cash. Yeah. Cash has been tight for a while, dude. No stimmies.
Yeah.
No
Yeah, we were
stimmies.
supposed to get a guy that was going to drop interest rates to like 0.5%. Meanwhile, they're going to be dropping stimmies, maybe wrap up a couple of these conflicts. It was all coming together, and right now it just feels like we're maybe just in store for more of the same.
Well, Dream, if the dev says that, they commit and they take the fees and run, they get KYC'd by Coinbase, meaning killed, yes, completely. That's what's gonna happen. Brian Armstrong comes to your house with an Uzi and wets it up himself, dude. No, I don't know. I think there is some kind of protection though to prevent people from doing that. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some kind of KYC involved, where you're kind of are committing to some further development of the project. But I think the thing itself is specifically more like the project has to show some kind of product market fit for it to even generate enough fees for that to be worthwhile.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea. But who knows? Maybe people are good enough to just still scheme and sell vapor to people. Maybe we'll see people what do you call it, botting their own tokens just to drive the metrics up. But then they're not making any real money. I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. Keep your eyes on this space. That's what I'll say.
They will punish you somehow.
Yeah, but I want to talk a little bit about my darker impulses here because I was still trading pump fund shitters and stuff like that off the Epstein files. We could talk a little bit about the Epstein files if you want. There's some funny revelations in there. But one of them was this word Goyim really took over the timeline. And classic, dude. Like classic. This is the one win I made, guys. Made one win here. I doubt this was all the rope house here, but it was fun. I made $200. So, we're eating lobster tonight, baby. I'm surprised that Pump Fund still is generating this amount of activity, though. But I think Pump Fund also has a program going on right now where you could win like $1 million. Have you seen this, Drac?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, like Pump Fund has some kind of like incentive program. Not quite. Where is it?
I mean,
Yeah,
it is interesting to watch how there was just memes were obviously taking off for a long time, and then there was this rug after rug, and then all the really bad D-list celebrity stuff, and people just kind of seemed to cool off it for a while. But I think you're kind of seeing that how when the market kind of goes to shit, this is like the rebuild phase. It's like everybody's back in the trenches trying to make some quick money. I've actually been kind of like enjoying just people being like, oh, have you I have like a handful of friends that are back on Pump Fund like every single day.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's kind of nice to see.
We get some guys in the TG throwing some of those around. Our TG isn't quite full of total scammers yet, so there's still a couple Pump Fund runners they throw in there that they get hyped on to get some action on. This is what I was talking about, the Pump Fund hackathon. So you secure up to 250,000 in additional investments by tokenizing your agent or project on Pump. 3 million up for grabs. So there's still some kind of money being thrown around between this and virtuals. I think Solana itself had like another hackathon. It seems to me that it's more of like a flight to value. Like a lot of these chains are really desperate to get like actual, profitable revenue generating businesses on board. Yeah. No, Goyim in abundance. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's like one of the greatest all time. Oh, and also the subject of this email is yacht slut.
Dude, this is so crazy, man. the revelations in these emails are we could go through them for days, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I just I've seen a lot of this. I'm sure everybody has at this point, but my favorite is kind of just like his writing style. It'll just be like someone will write him like 4 paragraphs, and his response will be like 3 or 4 words, and like the spacing is all weird between the words and like weird punctuation and stuff.
Yeah, he writes like kind of like a teen girl or something. It's like very
Yeah.
weird. I mean, maybe that's a bad comparison considering the context of his writings. But yeah, I'm expecting a lot. I was expecting a lot more pump fund tokens to launch off of these emails. To be honest, I think there are a lot, but a lot of them are quite shallow. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we got, what is it? 3 million pages, 150,000 images, some crazy amount of videos. I think the best runner from all this shit is probably yet to come.
Oh yeah, might be G Vacation. Who knows? I just noticed that was his email, G Vacation.
Yeah. So then of course, yeah, you had like the really good like Elon ones where they were like, Elon's gonna like scare the hose. Do not let him come in here.
Yeah, I saw one that was like fake, but the fake one was like really funny, dude. It was like Epstein just forwards the email to Ghislaine, and she's like, "Oh, actually, we're shutting down all the parties."
To her, literally said like, "Take care of this" or something. Like it was like, I don't want to fucking deal with this guy.
Yeah, but I gotta reiterate, that was the fake one. The fake one was funny, and it was actually more hopeful than the real one, because the real one is like, "You got any? When's the wildest party with all the babes?"
Oh, God.
And Epstein's like, "We're always ready for you, big guy." It's like so creepy, dude. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, always welcoming the opportunity to get blackmail material on another billionaire. Who's gonna pass that up?
Yeah, right? What a scheme, dude. But I don't know. Speaking of their schemes here, we could talk about this too. This is also trending quite heavily because we're kind of one of the things I want to do in this show is I want to talk. This show is very much focused, I think, on like what's on our minds recently. What are we looking at? What are we building on? What are we trading? That sort of thing. So I want to talk a little bit about this Moltbook. Moltbook's been on my mind a while. I was thinking about starting I liked it better when it was called Claudebot. I can't believe he caved because of freaking Anthropic.
Yeah.
Moltbook sounds disgusting. Moltbot sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
But people were talking about this Moltbook, dude, Reddit for her AI agents. And they get up to really crazy things over here. But apparently, this is just people just telling their agents to post shit on here.
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed a good bit where it's like, I think, there was like, I guess where they were really hyping it up was like kind of like being like, this is AGI, right? But it was proven pretty quickly that, it can't really be AGI when it's like it's basically just the AIs feeding each other inputs, right? So these aren't like AIs actually like going like, I had a thought today. You're still dealing with inputs from other agents. It's like one of those like you ever seen like those things where like the snakes, they make like a giant ball of snakes like in nature, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, like a rat king?
Yeah, like a rat king, or like like the whatever they call the snake one. Or maybe I'm thinking of the rat king. Either way, it's like you're just looking at it, still just a ton of inputs, and everything's just giving inputs to each other. There was even somebody that went as far as saying a lot of this stuff is like what's a good way to say it? Kind of like like those farms they have like in India or wherever, where they'll just like, you pay them a certain amount of money and they'll interact with your site to get your metrics up.
Yeah.
So there have been people even implying that it's basically just like a engagement farm scenario, and that, a lot of the stuff's even just being written by people.
Yeah, from what I've seen, a lot of that is either people prompting their agents to make posts about things like this, or like, "Hey, agent, I want you to make posts on Moltbook about like what happened today, or in this kind of manner." But then I've also seen kinds like you're saying, where it's like they just literally hire guys to generate, like prompt their agents to post stuff like this, basically. Pretty interesting. Dream brings up another one, which is kind of tied to this, the AI hiring human agents to do real
Yeah,
world
I
crime.
actually had that pulled up, funny enough.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so literally it's like the AI giving out a job that will offer money for something that the AI can't do, right?
Mhm.
Um, what exactly that would be, I don't know. I don't know. Like, let's browse the humans. That sounds like a bad idea. Like, you browse the humans. Like, speaking of Jeffrey Epstein, like,
Wow,
um,
dude. Look at these people just selling their souls to AI. What are even the tasks that they hire them to do?
it looks like the floor is $50 an hour until somebody breaks down and says, "Okay, I'll take 47 an hour or whatever." But right now it's like an NFT collection or something. Like right now the floor is holding at $50 an hour, but we'll see how long that lasts when people are, it'll get down eventually to like people are accepting $1 to like, run to the grocery store or something.
How long until someone's like, I want like they ask their agent to find them a wife, and then the agent puts an ad here on renthuman.ai.
like for instance here it says, skill package pickup. So, you got like your Claude bot or whatever they call it now. What do they call it now?
Mhm.
Molt bot or I don't know.
Yeah, Moltbot.
Anyway, you know, if you have one of these things like, you got one of your Mac minis and it's like handling your emails and your schedule, I guess I could see that happening where, it's like I need someone to go pick up this package, right?
Mhm.
So let's just
Well, that's a little ominous, dude. We're gonna have what do you call it? AIs running terrorist groups, dude. Freaking terror cells. I need
yeah,
you to go pick up as many containers of what is this stuff they used to make meth? Pseudoepinephrine. I need you to get as
yeah.
much what is that stuff called? Benadryl as you can from as
Drill.
many pharmacies in your area. Put it in a package, ship it to this address. Hey, I'll just
Yeah.
do it for
So I
that.
mean it's a pretty funny idea. I mean, somebody there was like a post where somebody was like, everybody thought that we were gonna have all this AI and robots, and we'd get like basic universal income, and nobody has to
Mhm.
work anymore. But really, it's just gonna be like a dystopia where we just hope that the robots pay us to do something for some money.
Yeah, just flip switches and shit for him. Flip switches, refill their generator.
Yeah, I mean that's like I mean even with this, I think we're still like a long ways off from this getting like scary for real.
Mhm.
But it's like a new thing opening up, so it's fun to it's fun to read about and all that shit. But I don't think we're like in a Skynet AGI scenario. I think we're still pretty far from that.
Yeah, I think we're a good distance from that. I mean, AI don't have any sort of like, from my understanding, how it works. I was chatting to Claude about this. Claude, my personal AI buddy, and maybe he was lying to me, but it was something like AIs have no, or these LLMs have no persistent identity or any kind of like, what would you call it? Like humans have like desires that form like impulses. Like we have goals that we want to accomplish that are driven by like instincts and stuff. None of that happens in the AI. It's literally just a thing that just exists and then you interact with it and then it forms things from that. Whereas like if you were just to put a human alone, they would still want to like do things.
Yeah,
So until an AI has like emotions and sensations like fear and hunger, then I think we're fine.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just been it definitely makes me feel like we're in a bear market right now, because this is the kind of stuff that gets everyone all excited. Like, like in the last bear market, it would be like, hey, everybody's betting on animals racing for like a week.
Hmm.
This kind of feels very much like one of the like within the course of a week, it was like, the AI assistant, Molt Book, some of these other bots. There's already like I think it was like Monad and I know Monad specifically already launched a hackathon that's just related to this kind of stuff, like with Molt Book
Hmm.
and AI agents. So I mean, it's feeling a little flavor of the week, but AI itself isn't going anywhere. But yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
like it's a fun distraction, I guess you would say.
I think AGI is gonna emerge from my next project, which is gonna be AI death matches, where we're gonna tie agents and models to like little characters in video games and make them fight to the death, and if whoever loses gets their code just immediately obliterated, destroyed.
Your
So
GitHub repo gets deleted.
yeah, exactly. Maybe that'll be the catalyst we need. But yeah, you're right. I think it is kind of like bottoming, where like this is like people or although I don't know, I think people are generally quite interested in AI and how it's developing, and this kind of stuff really tickles the fancy, gets people's imaginations going. But yeah, I mean, I guess it is a bear market because we're all willing to work for bots doing. When you scroll down here, none of these people have any skills. I don't know if anyone's actually been hired from this thing. They're all just say anything. I'll just
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if these are, these might just be all like placeholders or something, but like this guy's name is Takorius. Jigar. Tuhin.
No bio, just do anything.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's like I don't know what I'm gonna do with someone like in Afghanistan or Kazakhstan. Like, hey, this guy's in Kazakhstan. Can you go
to the opium fields for me?
I don't know what you could do for me over there, but
it's an unemployment farm. Yeah,
it's an unemployment farm. Yeah.
Click on Alexander Lightplow. He's the guy that made this. Let's see what skills he has on here. What he thinks the AI is going to hire him to do.
It's like, yeah, the guy that made the site's like the only guy that has like a real bio.
Skills: running and walking. Okay, we're setting the bar quite high.
Driving cars, hugging, back massages.
Yeah, I mean, how long until someone puts on here? I can hit a target from 50 meters away.
Yeah, but like the back massage is like creepy. Like if you're letting one of these agents just like run through all your stuff and they're like, I'm going to get bro a massage today because he's stressed out. And then you got some guy at your house and you don't even know why he's there. And he's like, I'm here to like rub your back.
Yeah. And then he's actually there to steal your keys, dude.
Yeah.
It is interesting too, because I'm thinking like, one of the things that got like Claude bought a lot of clout up front was that like you could use it to like make reservations at a restaurant. Like it could already like call people and talk to people. So I don't necessarily know what the need is for this.
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, sometimes it's also like, what are we doing? Like, I mean, we're doing this or that like with more steps, but I guess it's cool because like a robot's,
Yeah, it's cool because a robot's doing it.
It's a decent distraction, but we got to keep our eyes on the prize that Bitcoin weekly has crashed through the cloud. Everyone on Earth is accumulating metals because the dollar is slowly crashing. Yeah,
people are trying to program AIs to do jobs because they can't get hired. So you need to make an agent. Everyone is scrambling. This is the real deal with these AI agents. Is everyone is scrambling to become like a pseudo company on their own, like create a money-making scheme using agents because they cannot get a job because there is no jobs available. It is true. It's like vibe coding has kind of become like the Instagram brand of like for, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, everybody was like, I'm working on my brand. I'm working on my brand of content. I'm working on, my name is my brand. It's like, everybody's like, like I'm securing my vibe coder legacy right now. Yeah. Well, Dream, I think you could do that right now, dude. All that's stopping you is, a $20 a month subscription to Claude. No, I'm kind of curious, dude. It's getting me really thinking. I kind of want, if I can, I don't think I have any other machines around, but maybe I'll splurge, get a little machine, set up Claude bot on it, give it full access and say, make $100 million for me. And I'll buy. And so far that's not worked out for anybody, but I'd be curious to see if anyone cracks that where, it'll be like, we gave this guy we gave this bot $1,000 and it makes 2 or 3 trades. And then next thing you know, it's, making up reasons why it lost the money or whatever. Yeah, ordering tungsten cubes and shit. Yeah, tungsten cubes. I won't say the dev's name. It's a guy that most people from Phantom and Sonic know, but I don't know if he wants to be directly linked to it. So this is actually pretty cool what he's developed here, though. If you're on Hyper EVM or anything to do with Hyperliquid, you're probably familiar with the Hyper NFTs. They were going for like 70, 80,000, 100,000 at the very top for like, decent rarity.
So this is like a fund where it's a tokenized fund, and right now they have 15 of these hypers in their possession. So, the idea is you are, putting tokens in to get, some of the index token, but it's got like a real backing, and you're able to see like at any time, like what the backing is. This is all based on like the floor of the hypers and how many they've acquired. And yeah, it's kind of like one of those flywheel things. It's like, as they're getting more hype, they're buying more hypers. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. You could do this with like all kinds of other assets too, but I think it's a cool start to, the hypers are obviously not worth what they were worth, but at this point they are, they're still remotely valuable. So it's not a terrible thing to kind of like base what your actual like index or reserve or whatever is, worth.
Interesting. Yeah. Wasn't like the thing about these hyper NFTs, they get like a bunch of airdrops and stuff from things launching on Hyperliquid. Airdrops received by the vault are claimed and 90% converted to hype, flowing back into NAV. The vault.
Yeah. So that's like another interesting part of it is because Dream's saying kind of like hyper strategy. It's like, yeah, in a way. But I do think that the hypers were kind of specifically targeted because of, everybody that's launching a project on Hyper EVM is giving some kind of airdrop to these NFTs. So on top of all that, they're saying, yeah, like we'll distribute, 90% of the airdrops will be converted to hype, and then it goes back into the NAV for the vault. So, Fallout Zone says, is Hyperliquid the only tech that came out this cycle? Pretty much, if you think about it, because the Hyper EVM has been a bit of as a guy that has a lot of hype, I'm always welcome to talk about Hyperliquid, but it's like saving my portfolio basically. But yeah, I mean, they developed, institutional grade perps on chain. It was kind of like what basically everyone's been trying to do for the last 4 or 5 years. And it has brought in, a good bit of funds and institutional players. But on the flip side of that, it's, made the market perform how it does when you have big players and institutions. But in terms of tech, I agree. It's kind of like anything that's really generated money outside of, God, I can't even really think of anything that's generated money outside of perps. But, you had Hyperliquid and it spawned all these other TGEs. Perps are nice money on fees. They generate a bunch of revenue. So yeah, I would say that kind of dominated whatever this cycle was we were in. I mean, we definitely never were totally in a crypto bull market. I feel like we were warming up there. We never had like that euphoria burst. So I don't know if it's more like I still kind of don't feel like we're necessarily like totally in a bear either.
Yeah, it's
we're in like purgatory right now while we wait for some things to shake out. It feels like.
Yeah, it's not like full on Bitcoin's hit like 50 grand yet, although that's maybe incoming. Who knows? It doesn't. It has felt a lot more like suppressed this cycle, and I think that has to do with a lot of the institutional activity coming on chain. I mean, we did have that 10/10 liquidation event. I think that also kind of like popped a bubble that maybe we didn't even realize was here. Wiped out a lot of liquidity, a lot of like leverage in the market that was inflating prices. So, yeah, I mean, new tech of the cycle. That's got to be it, dude. I mean, enabling trading silver and gold on chain. Also, that's some tech, I guess.
Yeah, and that's been like the only thing most of us have been doing is trading stocks and metals on chain. It's like,
yeah,
but we'll get back there. Like I said, it's something's got to get worked out.
Yeah. Other thing I wanted to mention quickly before we go, we dive into it maybe more later, is this is another thing that I was kind of looking into, like on chain, this prime layer. I think this is a token that launched a few months ago. Yeah, in October. It's a Bitcoin L2. They're doing Bitcoin DeFi over there. It's supposed to have all the security of Bitcoin. but like actual like DeFi applications built on it. It's gonna be supposed to be really fast and all like while they're scaling. Something I'm kind of keeping my eye on. I've never really dived too much into Bitcoin ecosystems before. I'm aware that they got their own like weird, crazy dramas over there with like Taproot Wizards, and remember briefly they had like NFTs on Bitcoin, and
Yeah, it's like a whole thing where you know, it's a whole thing where it's like you have the purists that are basically like, Bitcoin shouldn't be doing anything or being used for anything else. But I'm a fan of Bitcoin DeFi anywhere I can get it. I've been using yield basis since it launched. Because it's always just been annoying, like you're sitting there like you have Bitcoin, you don't have anything to do with it. So I welcome anything that's like, gonna try to find a way to like, put Bitcoin to work. I've looked at this a little bit. I want to look at it deeper too to see how I think it does have its own gas token and it performs like an L1. So I'm just kind of wondering, I guess the Bitcoin part, it's almost like an L2 in terms of just like the Bitcoin security.
Yeah, it uses ZK rollups, dude, and to roll transactions up to the Bitcoin network.
Yeah, so so it is kind of just like a L2 in terms of like, it's still like a chain, but then it interacts with Bitcoin to like for part of the settlement and everything.
Yeah, it seems like a way to kind of like stake Bitcoin and generate like additional rewards. Supposedly, it's doing merge mining, which I believe is like where you mine two currencies at once. So you're like mining BTC and also this prime layer token.
All right.
Yeah, when you look at the chart for prime layer, it's down quite bad over the year, but I think it's kind of been going under the radar. They're still kind of early in their roadmap too. Not necessarily investment advice. I think, like Drac said, something I want to look into more, but this is something that's kind of on my mind, on my plate.
Yeah, and I mean, anybody that's watching, you got any ideas, you got something you want us to check out, talk about, whatever, make sure to send it to us. Like I said, right now we're pushing the stream from our X accounts and we're pushing it in the Rope House Telegram. We do have, YouTube on the way, a next channel on the way. But yeah, reach out to us if there's something you want us to check out, maybe talk about. It doesn't matter where it is, what chain it's on, whatever. That was kind of the point of the show, was that we just found over time that people really just enjoyed just talking about macro and what's going on CT and looking at some charts and just kind of talking about whatever. So we want to thank everybody for checking it out. First episode, working on the scheduling. I think it might be every Wednesday. This felt all right.
Yeah, I'm kind of down with Wednesday, dude. Feels good, middle of the day, right in the middle of the week, midday Wednesday.
Yeah, so we're not like missing anything yet. But yeah, once a week for now. Maybe we'll bump it up to twice a week if things pick up. But yeah, once again, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week. Yeah, hit us up or join the Rope House Telegram.
Yeah.
And we will see you soon.
See you guys next time. Adios.
Nothing Ever Profits is Mason Corval and Dracula Presley.